Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have an episode review vlog for episode 8 of Mobile Suit Gundam GQuuuuuuX. So just overall, at first, I would say I would rate this episode a little bit lower than the last one just because of how much the plot moved forward in episode 7, and also episode 8 does kind of this weird thing where the first half of the episode takes place during the 1 Year War, and I believe is content that was from the movie and has kind of just been like shoved here at episode 8 in the first like 10-ish minutes, which makes it feel a little weird. It is nice to like see young Shalia Bull and Char again, and younger Kycilia, but I do wonder why they put that content at this point in the show and not back during episode 2 or 3, but at least we got to see it without having to go and see the movie version. So basically we get to see the actual Battle of Solomon that was only mentioned at the very end of episode 2, where we saw Char go out in a Zek Nova. But here we actually get to see the depth of what the Federation was trying to do, which is essentially hijack Solomon and like throw it into the moon to blow up the city of Granada, which is where Kycilia is based out of. And I find it interesting because I believe originally, before the original Gundam back in 1979 got cut down, there was like an actual whole arc where the white base was going to have to assault Granada and fight on the moon to take out Kycilia, and I think that was like part of Shalia Bull's original arc as well, and then he ended up only being a character for a few episodes after it got cut down. But it's kind of cool to see them sort of do that, even though it was never something we saw in the original series. But it's an interesting idea and interesting alternate universe take on what could have happened at the end of the war here. It's also interesting to see that Zeon has like a bunch of the white base style ships. We see the Sodon here under the command of Captain Dren. They have to come up with a plan to stop Solomon from killing everybody on the moon. So Char says that he's basically going to take in a bunch of disabled Zaku torsos and plant them in certain spots around the base, and when they blow it up, it will like blow the base apart, and then the base will miss the moon. I find it interesting here that Shalia Bull mentions to Char like, wow, you must have thought about this plan a lot, or you came up with it really quickly. And Char just basically tells him that like after the 1 Year War, his target is the Zabi family. So that's not exactly like a secret, something that Shalia Bull didn't know about. So it's interesting to see in present day Shalia Bull kind of attempting to carry out that mission. It definitely makes Shalia Bull's character feel a little bit more rounded out. Like, we could assume that's kind of how he felt with the information we had out of what was cut out of the episode versions of the story, but it's nice to actually see that motivation in more depth because of this episode. And I'll never shit on getting to see Char and the Red Gundam in a really good battle as well, as we see his Mobile Suit Corps take on the Federation ships that are escorting the base towards the moon. It's a pretty good battle too. I like that the Red Gundam has these like big round bits that Char uses, and when he runs out of propellant with them, he just like slams them into the enemy ships and they explode. It's pretty awesome. Of course, the action in this show has always been really good, so that's not exactly a surprise. It's also really cool to see Char and Shalia Bull working together during the 1 Year War, so we get more of a sense of their camaraderie. Once Char is alone, he actually takes one of the bombs off of the Zakus so that the explosions won't be in sync and the base will still hit Granada, because of course Char wants to destroy both the Federation and the Zabi family. He really doesn't care about Zeon that much, so it's interesting to see him take this initiative here. However, he's almost stopped with the arrival of a white gun cannon piloted by someone that Char says is the Fetty new type that killed Dozal Zabi. And of course, anime TV viewers only hadn't seen this character yet, so in my head I didn't know who it was, but I was wondering if it would be the witch from the previous episode, or maybe they would actually show Amuro. which they are not. I'm calling it now. They're never showing Amuro in this show at all. But no, Char actually gets a little new type flash, and we see that it is Artesia, who is his sister. But the fight between them is very, very short. The Psycom U in the Red Gundam starts freaking out, but curiously, Char says that, like, it's not responding to him, it's somebody else, and he doesn't know who it is. And then we get to see the original Zek Nova in all of its detail. All of the new type characters can hear the Lala sound, and Shalia overhears Char talking to somebody that he can apparently see, and the last transmission that Captain Char sends is that he can see time, which is a very new type thing to see. I do really love the way the Kira Kira looks in this show. Every time they do this new type stuff, it's beautiful. Like, the colors just look amazing. If you've got this playing on a really good monitor, wow, they obviously know what they're doing when it came to the art production of this show. Back in the present day, we see Nyan in full Zeon outfit being fed a meal by Kycilia. Nyan is offered a scholarship at a Zeon University on Side 3 if she can complete a task for Kycilia Zabi, which is create another Zek Nova. I also like that Nyan is smart enough to see that Kycilia is just using her. Like, she immediately remarks that this woman doesn't like her. She's not her friend. She's just kind of playing coy and being nice to get what she wants. It's a really good comparison or foil to Machu, who was strung along by the clan battlers and specifically Anki, and like had her whole reality shattered when she realized she was just being used. So it's really cool to see Nyan is like street smart enough because of her upbringing to know when she's being used by somebody, but Machu is not. At least, she probably is now. One thing this episode did that I actually really liked is that it gave us more of a peek into Xavier's past and maybe some of his actual motivation, beyond just being like a agent for Kycilia. We learned that he has a past with a dead pilot that was killed testing a new experimental mobile suit. And we quickly learned that it seems like Xavier has brought Nyan into the fold to kind of be a new test pilot for the suit. He shows Nyan the Gundam Fred, a second GQuuuuuuX unit that looks a lot like a Halo 5 armor suit again. I don't really know how I feel about this design in particular. I think it looks better than the regular GQuuuuuuX, but I'm going to have to see it in motion a lot more, or maybe even a model of it, before I have true thoughts on how the G-Fred looks. But right now, it just really reminds me of something of from Halo 5, which I know I said about a previous suit in this show, but I think that comparison still holds up. And obviously, it seems like a really obvious comparison, just because this is a Hideaki Anno show, to say that it looks like an Evangelion, but this mech is probably the most Evangelion looking mech in the show so far as well. While they're checking out the Gundam Fred, they meet one of Xavier's friends, a pilot named Miguel. And this is where we learn that it's actually two members of Xavier's friend group that have been killed attempting to pilot the G-Fred. No one knows how they died, they just apparently have a heart attack when testing begins, and the military investigation unit could not find any sort of reason that this could happen, at least as far as the suit is concerned. During this conversation, we get a couple of more really depressingly sad comments from Nyan about how she's kind of jealous that Xavier had a friend group that cared enough about him to make him cake, and basically just says that she's jealous that he has ever had anyone that's cared for him. According to Xavier, Kycilia and Giran haven't met once since the end of the war because they're so paranoid about being assassinated, which sounds like a really, really good and efficient way to run a government. Xavier suspects Giran of assassinating the former G-Fred pilots, so that one couldn't be chosen because Giran is developing a cyber new type clone unit, and he doesn't want the G-Fred up and running until those are ready for battle. And this is where I kind of thought that maybe Glemmy would show up in this show, only so he could immediately explode. That would actually be awesome. Nyan gets dropped off at her dormitory by Xavier, but actually gets a text from Miguel who's like, "Hey, I made you cake, girl," and immediately goes back to the G-Fred hangar to eat cake with him. And he basically says like, well, if all the pilots are dying, then we may as well have cake now instead of never. And then it's immediately revealed that Miguel is actually the one that is killing all of the G-Fred pilots and works for Giran. Luckily, Nyan isn't stupid, and she figured it out really quickly that he's been poisoning them with the cake. So she secretly texted Xavier, who shows up to quote-unquote save her, except all he really does is point his gun at Miguel and never shoot at him, which I understand. He doesn't want to shoot at, like, his best friend. But it leads to Nyan kicking the table over and then scaling the side of the G-Fred until Miguel chases her up the scaffolding. And then we see that Nyan can actually activate the Psychomu while she's not even in the robot or has a psycho suit on, which is something that we've kind of seen so far with Machu and the G-Cucks. But instead of just moving around a little bit, she fucking activates the bits and vaporizes Miguel. It's so insane. Like, she atomizes him in like a single second and blows a hole in the side of the base that they're on. I actually like gasped out loud at how fucking hard Miguel got killed in this scene. And you know, I'm not really making fun of this plot point, like Miguel being the one who killed his own friends because he hated new types so much and didn't want them to become devils, or Caecilia's Diablo, is a really interesting plot point and something that could be used to like really push Xavier's character in a bunch of different directions. But wow, the pacing on that. We learn that not Xavier, we learn that Miguel is evil literally within 3 minutes of him being introduced, and man, it makes this show's 12 episode length feel real rough right here. If this was a 24 episode show, I think it would still be rough, but wow, it needed 50. We then also see Caecilia like assassinate her little boy toy servant guy, saying that he was the one that gave the poison to Miguel and he got it from Giran and she knew about it all along, which is very dramatically appropriate that she kills him right now. Also, we get another word name dropped. It's the Yomag Ntho, which her assistant says is pure evil, and she replies that that's why she's keeping it out of Giran's hands. So I don't know what that is. Maybe it's like some sort of evil piece of tech. It probably has something to do with like the Psychomu, so we'll definitely see in the future, but I do like the like Cthulhu-esque name of it. And the end scene of this episode is Xavier getting a call telling him that the G-Cucks has escaped from the Sodon and made it to Earth. And I can't wait to see how that happened. I kind of want to see Machu just go berserk and bust out of the ship, but I think it's also likely that she gets let out by Shalia Bull as some sort of plan that he has. But yeah, overall this was a pretty good episode beyond the pacing issues. I mean, half of the runtime was dedicated to a one-year war flashback that I think would have been better served near the start of the series, and then there was a big reveal in the episode which would have been more impactful if that character had been around for more than 3 minutes, but I understand what they're trying to do with their time crunch. I just think at this point, after the clan battle stuff has been over and we're now getting into like a more grand narrative, I really think the show hinges quite heavily on having seen at least Mobile Suit Gundam and Zeta. And I don't know, I was hoping it sort of wouldn't, but I just feel like anyone who hasn't seen those shows is probably lost. I mean, it's general enough that you can get the gist of what's happening and how the factions are interplaying with each other. But man, I feel like I would just be really confused, but maybe that's just me. It's a concern I've brought up a few times just because I want this show to like stand on its own and not be seen as that weird spin-off show with a bunch of AU like Easter eggs and shit, but I don't know, I think that might just be the road we're on. So anyway, let me know down below what you thought of this episode. If you're worried for the future of the show because of the pacing, or if you think that they're going to be able to pull it off. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, And I'm going to see you guys again real soon. Next week, we'll have another episode of the vlog review. We also have the brain-powered video coming up soon and a Gundam The Origin video coming up soon. And I am in the process of watching Dunbine to do a video on that this summer. So that will be cool. Also, go ahead and check out the gaming channel, which I think this week there might not be any uploads on it because I'm kind of like backlogging them so that when June starts and the summer really starts in full, I can just have a lot of content there again. There was a period of time where I was going really ham over there and had a lot of stuff being uploaded, but I've just kind of been taking a little bit of a break. But yeah, if you like Let's Plays, it's just fun. I like to shoot the shit and play games that interest me and not random trend chasing things. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.